I discovered my daughter-in-law had stolen my emergency credit card to fund a secret life. When she bragged about spending $80,000, I smiled and said, "That card has a $5,000 limit. Are you sure you checked whose name was on it?" If you're watching this story, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I want to know how far this tale of betrayal and justice has traveled. The hospital corridor stretches before me like an endless tunnel, its fluorescent lights buzzing with a relentless hum that seems to echo the chaos in my mind. My shoes squeak against the polished linoleum floor as I make my way toward the ICU, clutching a worn canvas bag filled with my husband's belongings, fresh pajamas, his reading glasses, the mystery novel he'd been halfway through when everything changed. Robert, my husband of 32 years, lies in room 407, hooked up to machines that beep and whir, monitoring every breath, every heartbeat. 3 days ago, he collapsed in our garden while pruning the rose bushes, his face turning ashen as he clutched his chest. "Massive stroke," the doctor said. The words still echo in my ears like a death sentence, though they assured me he would survive. Survive, yes, but what kind of life would he have after this? I'm Martha Henley, 61 years old, a retired high school English teacher from Portland, Oregon. My life has been simple, predictable, filled with the rhythms of domesticity and the comfort of routine. Robert worked as an accountant for 40 years, steady and reliable, and together we built a modest but happy life. We raised our son Daniel in a 3-bedroom house on Maple Street, watched him graduate from college, celebrated when he married Sienna 5 years ago. Sienna. Just thinking her name sends a complicated tangle of emotions through my chest. My daughter-in-law, with her perfect blonde hair always styled in loose waves, her designer sunglasses perched atop her head like a crown, her Instagram feed filled with carefully curated moments of her blessed life. When Daniel first introduced her to us, I wanted so desperately to love her. She was beautiful, charming, and my son looked at her like she hung the moon and stars. But over the years, I'd noticed things. Small things at first. The way she'd wrinkle her nose when visiting our modest home, as if the simple IKEA furniture and family photos on the walls offended her sensibilities. How she'd steer conversations toward designer brands and luxury vacations, dropping hints about friends who lived in penthouses and drove Teslas. The subtle digs about our quaint little house and vintage appliances. Still, I bit my tongue. Daniel loved her, and I'd learned long ago that criticizing your child's spouse is the fastest way to lose your child. So I smiled, nodded, and tried to find common ground with Sienna, even as she remained cool and distant toward me. Now, pushing open the door to Robert's room, I find him sleeping, his chest rising and falling with mechanical regularity. The left side of his face droops slightly, a visible reminder of what the stroke has stolen from him. I settle into the uncomfortable vinyl chair beside his bed, taking his hand in mine. His skin feels papery, fragile, and I'm struck by how quickly life can change. One moment, you're tending roses on a sunny afternoon. The next, you're fighting for your future. "I'm here, my love," I whisper, though he can't hear me. I'm not going anywhere. The door creaks open behind me, and a young nurse with kind eyes enters, checking Robert's vitals with practiced efficiency. Her name tag reads Ashley, and she gives me a sympathetic smile. "How are you holding up, Mrs. Henley?" she asks gently. I manage a weak smile. "One day at a time, that's all I can do." She nods, jotting notes on her clipboard. The doctor will be by in about an hour to discuss the next steps. Physical therapy, medication management, that sort of thing. He's lucky to have you. Lucky? The word feels hollow, but I thank her anyway. After she leaves, I pull out my phone, thinking I should check in with Daniel. He'd been here yesterday, pacing the halls with worry etched into every line of his face, but he had to return to work today. His law firm was in the middle of a major case, and he couldn't afford to miss more time. Before I can call him, a text message appears on my screen. It's from Sienna. "Hey Martha, just checking in. How's Robert doing? Let me know if you need anything. XOXO." I stare at the message, trying to find warmth in the words, but they feel performative, obligatory. Still, I appreciate the gesture and type back a quick response. He's stable. Thank you for asking. Doctor will give us more information soon. 3 dots appear immediately, indicating she's typing. Then they disappear. Then they appear again. Finally, another message comes through. That's good. Listen, I know this is terrible timing, but I need to ask you something. Can we talk later? It's important. A knot forms in my stomach. Important. What could be so important that it couldn't wait until Robert was out of immediate danger? I type back cautiously. Of course, I'll call you this evening. Perfect, talk then. I pocket my phone, trying to push away the unease that settled over me like a cold fog. Sienna has never been one to ask me for anything directly. Usually, she goes through Daniel, presenting her requests as his ideas. The fact that she's reaching out to me specifically sets off alarm bells I can't quite articulate. Hours pass in the sterile cocoon of the hospital room. Robert wakes briefly, his eyes unfocused and confused, and I squeeze his hand, murmuring reassurances until he drifts off again. The doctor arrives as promised, a silver-haired woman named Dr. Patterson, who speaks in calm, measured tones about recovery timelines and rehabilitation protocols. She's optimistic, but realistic. Robert will need months of physical therapy, and even then, he may never fully regain the function on his left side. The first 72 hours were critical, and he's past that threshold, Dr. Patterson explains, her hand resting lightly on my shoulder. Now it's about patience and persistence. He'll need round-the-clock care initially, but with time and effort, there's every reason to hope for significant improvement. I nod, absorbing the information, mentally calculating what this means for our lives. Our savings, modest but carefully maintained over decades, will need to cover medical bills, therapy sessions, possibly home modifications. We have insurance, thank God, but there will still be out-of-pocket costs. The financial weight settles onto my shoulders alongside the emotional burden. As the sun begins to set, casting orange and pink streaks across the sky visible through the small window, I finally leave Robert's side to grab a coffee from the hospital cafeteria. My body aches from sitting in that awful chair, and my mind feels foggy from lack of sleep. I've been running on adrenaline and black coffee for 3 days now, snatching brief naps in the waiting room when exhaustion finally overcomes anxiety. In the cafeteria, I buy a stale sandwich and a cup of bitter coffee, finding a corner table away from the scattered groups of worried families. As I eat mechanically, barely tasting the food, my phone buzzes. Daniel's name flashes on the screen. "Hi, honey," I answer, trying to inject energy into my voice. "Mom, how is he?" Daniel's voice is tight with worry. I give him the update from Dr. Patterson, hearing him exhale slowly on the other end. "That's good news, relatively speaking," he says. "Listen, Mom, I'm sorry I can't be there more. This case is—" "Daniel, stop," I interrupt gently. "I understand. Your father would understand. You need to work. I've got this." "I know, but I hate that you're dealing with this alone." He pauses. "Has Sienna called you?" There it is. The real reason for his call. She texted earlier, said she wanted to talk to me about something important. Do you know what it's about? Another pause, longer this time. She mentioned something about needing help with a financial situation. I told her not to bother you right now, but you know Sienna. Once she gets an idea in her head... Financial situation. The knot in my stomach tightens. What kind of financial situation? I don't know the details. She's been vague about it. Something about an investment opportunity that needs immediate funding. "Mom, I need to tell you something." His voice drops lower. "Money has been tight lately. Sienna's spending has gotten out of control, and I've tried to talk to her about it, but she doesn't listen." She thinks we have unlimited resources. This doesn't surprise me, though hearing Daniel admit it does. How bad is it? Bad enough that I've had to take on extra cases just to keep up with the credit card bills. She bought a $3,000 handbag last month, Mom, $3,000 for a purse. And that's just one thing. There are shoes, clothes, spa treatments, lunches at expensive restaurants. I've asked her to cut back, but she acts like I'm being unreasonable. I close my eyes, feeling my son's frustration radiating through the phone. Have you considered counseling? Maybe a financial advisor? I've suggested both. She refuses, says I'm trying to control her and that she deserves nice things after working so hard. He laughs bitterly. She works part-time as a social media influencer, Mom. She posts photos of herself in expensive outfits and gets free products from companies. That's not exactly a grueling career. I want to tell him what I've thought for years, that Sienna is shallow, materialistic, and using him. But I hold my tongue. He needs support, not judgment. What are you going to do? I don't know, but please don't let her pressure you into anything, especially not now, with Dad's medical bills. Promise me? I promise, I assure him, though unease continues to coil in my gut. We talk for a few more minutes before Daniel has to go, and I'm left sitting in the harsh fluorescent glare of the cafeteria, my coffee gone cold. I check the time, nearly 7 p.m. I should call Sienna and get this conversation over with. Taking a deep breath, I pull up her number and hit dial. She answers on the second ring, her voice bright and cheerful in a way that feels discordant given the circumstances. Martha, thanks so much for calling. How are you holding up? I'm managing, I say carefully. Daniel mentioned you needed to talk about something important? Right, yes. I hear the rustle of movement, as if she's settling into a comfortable position. So, I know this isn't ideal timing, but an incredible opportunity has come up, and I need to act fast. There's this investment group, very exclusive, very elite, that's opening up limited slots for new investors. The returns are supposed to be amazing, like 20 to 30% in just 6 months. My teacher's instinct kicks in immediately, the same one that helped me spot plagiarism and identify troubled students. This sounds like a scam. What kind of investment? It's in cryptocurrency and NFTs, but managed by experts who really know the market. My friend Claudia got in 3 months ago, and she's already doubled her initial investment. Can you imagine? I want to get in before all the slots fill up. Sienna, those kinds of returns are extremely unusual and often indicate a Ponzi scheme or fraud. Have you done thorough research? Talked to a financial advisor? Her tone shifts, becoming defensive. I've done my research, Martha. I'm not stupid. But the thing is, they require a minimum investment of $50,000, and Daniel is being really difficult about it. He doesn't see the potential like I do, so I was wondering if you might be able to help me out. I'd pay you back within 6 months, with interest. $50,000. The number echoes in my head like a gong. That's more than half of our entire emergency savings, the nest egg Robert and I built over decades of careful budgeting and sacrifice. And she's asking for it casually, as if it's pocket change. Sienna, I can't do that, I say firmly. Even if I wanted to, Robert and I need every penny for his medical care. The bills are going to be substantial. I know, and I'm sorry about Robert, I really am. But this could be a way to help everyone. If I make the returns I'm expecting, I could help you with the medical bills. It's a win-win situation. The audacity of her logic leaves me momentarily speechless. She wants me to risk our life savings on a questionable investment so she can potentially make money and then graciously help us with our own medical expenses? The manipulation is so transparent, it's almost insulting. The answer is no, I say, my voice hardening. I'm not investing in anything right now, and I certainly won't be giving you $50,000. Silence on the other end, heavy and cold. When Sienna speaks again, her cheerful facade has cracked. Fine, I just thought family was supposed to help each other, but I guess I was wrong about that. Family does help each other, I reply evenly. But what you're asking isn't help. It's financial suicide, and I won't apologize for protecting my husband's future. Whatever, Martha. I'll figure it out myself. The line goes dead. I sit there in the empty cafeteria, my hands trembling slightly as I set the phone down. The conversation has confirmed what I've long suspected. Sienna is reckless, entitled, and willing to manipulate anyone to get what she wants. But what disturbs me most is the casual way she dismissed Robert's medical crisis, as if it were merely an inconvenient obstacle to her investment dreams. I finish my cold coffee, throw away my trash, and head back to Robert's room. He's awake when I arrive, his right eye focusing on me with recognition and something that might be relief. Martha, he manages, the words slurred but comprehensible. Tears spring to my eyes as I rush to his side. I'm here, sweetheart, I'm right here. His right hand, still strong, grips mine. To Daniel. He's fine. He was here yesterday, remember? He had to work today, but he'll be back soon. Robert nods slowly. Then his eye narrows slightly, as if he's trying to read something in my face. Even compromised by the stroke, he knows me well enough to sense my distress. What's wrong? He asks with great effort. I consider lying, protecting him from the additional stress, but we've never had that kind of marriage. We've always faced problems together. So I tell him about Sienna's call, watching his expression shift from confusion to anger to resignation. No, he says firmly when I finish. Our money, for us. I know, my love. I told her no. He squeezes my hand, and in that squeeze, I feel his support, his trust, his partnership. Whatever challenges lie ahead, we'll face them together, just as we always have. But as I settle back into the uncomfortable chair, holding my husband's hand while machines beep their mechanical lullaby, I can't shake the feeling that Sienna isn't done. She's gotten her hooks into something, some scheme or plan, and knowing her stubbornness and sense of entitlement, she won't let it go easily. I just don't know yet how far she'll go to get what she wants. And that uncertainty sits in my chest like a stone, heavy and cold, warning me that the storm is just beginning. 5 days pass in a blur of hospital corridors, medical consultations, and sleepless nights. Robert makes slow but steady progress, regaining some movement in his left hand and managing to speak in short, halting sentences. The doctors are pleased with his improvement, talking optimistically about transferring him to a rehabilitation facility within the week. I've been living between the hospital and home, catching a few hours of sleep in our bedroom before rushing back to Robert's side each morning. The house feels empty without him, too quiet, filled with reminders of our life together. His coffee mug on the counter, his slippers by the bed, the crossword puzzle book open to the page he'd been working on when everything changed. Daniel visits every evening after work, sitting with his father and talking about the law firm, about cases and colleagues. I can see the strain on my son's face, the weight of worry mixing with something else, something that looks like resentment. When I ask him about it during a coffee break in the hospital cafeteria, he sighs deeply. It's Sienna, he admits, stirring his coffee absently. She's been impossible since you turned her down, giving me the silent treatment, making snide comments about how your generation doesn't understand modern investment opportunities. I'm exhausted, Mom. Between Dad's situation and her attitude, I feel like I'm being pulled in 1,000 directions. I reach across the table and squeeze his hand. I'm sorry you're dealing with this, but I stand by my decision. That investment she described sounds like a classic scam. I know. I Googled the company she mentioned, if you can even call it a company. It's some guy operating out of Miami with a website full of stock photos and testimonials that are probably fake. I showed Sienna the evidence, and she accused me of being jealous of her success. He laughs without humor. What success? She makes maybe $500 a month from her influencer work, and she spends 10 times that. Have you thought about what you're going to do? Long term, I mean? Daniel is quiet for a long moment, staring into his coffee as if the answer might be floating there. I love her, Mom. Or at least, I love who I thought she was. But I'm starting to wonder if that person ever really existed, or if I just wanted her to be someone she's not. My heart breaks for him. There's nothing worse than watching your child's dreams crumble, especially when you saw it coming and couldn't prevent it. Whatever you decide, your father and I support you. You know that, right? I know. He looks up, his eyes red-rimmed with exhaustion. I just need to focus on Dad right now. The rest can wait. But the rest, as it turns out, can't wait. 2 days later, I'm sitting in Robert's room, reading aloud from his mystery novel while he dozes, when my phone rings. It's an unknown number with a local area code. Normally, I'd let it go to voicemail, but something compels me to answer. Hello? Is this Martha Henley? A woman's voice, professional and clipped. Yes, who's calling? This is Jessica Chen from First National Bank. I'm calling regarding your credit card account ending in 7742. We've noticed some unusual activity and wanted to verify some recent charges. My blood runs cold. I have a credit card with First National, one I rarely use except for emergencies. I keep it in a locked drawer in my nightstand, a safety net Robert and I established years ago. The credit limit is $5,000 and the balance has been zero for the past 6 months. What kind of unusual activity? I ask, my voice steady despite the panic rising in my chest. There have been several large charges over the past 3 days, totaling approximately $4,800. Luxury retailers, high-end restaurants, a day spa. We flagged the account because the spending pattern doesn't match your typical usage. I grip the phone tighter. I haven't used that card at all, not in months. There's a pause on the other end. I see. In that case, Mrs. Henley, I need to inform you that this appears to be fraud. I'm going to need you to verify your identity, and then we'll need to file a dispute for these charges. Can you tell me the last 4 digits of your Social Security number? I provide the information in a daze, my mind racing. Who would have access to my credit card? It's locked in my nightstand at home, and only Robert and I have keys to that drawer. Unless... Mrs. Henley, I'm putting a freeze on your account immediately, Jessica continues. We'll be issuing you a new card, and you won't be held responsible for the fraudulent charges. However, I do need to ask, do you have any idea who might have accessed your card? I think so, I say quietly, a terrible certainty settling over me. I think it might be my daughter-in-law. After I hang up, I sit perfectly still, trying to process what just happened. Sienna. It has to be Sienna. She's the only person who's been to our house recently, who would know where we keep important documents and cards. I remember now, 3 days ago, she'd stopped by to check on things while I was at the hospital. I'd given her my house key weeks ago, back when Robert and I went on vacation and needed someone to water the plants. She'd had access, she'd had opportunity, and after our conversation about the investment scheme, she'd certainly had motive. My hands shake as I dial Daniel's number. He answers on the first ring, his voice tense. Mom, is Dad okay? Your father is fine. But Daniel, I need you to come to the hospital right away. It's about Sienna. What about her? She stole my credit card and charged nearly $5,000 to it. The silence on the other end is deafening. Then quietly, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I spend those 20 minutes replaying every interaction with Sienna over the past week, seeing them now through a lens of betrayal. Her text messages asking about Robert's condition. Were those genuine concern or simply checking to make sure I'd be away from the house? Her phone call about the investment opportunity, was that a genuine request or a setup to gauge whether I'd willingly give her money before she resorted to theft? When Daniel arrives, his face is ashen, his tie loosened and his hair disheveled as if he'd been running his hands through it. We step into the hallway for privacy, and I tell him everything. The call from the bank, the charges, my suspicion about Sienna. "Are you absolutely sure it was her?" he asks, though I can see in his eyes that he already knows the answer. Who else could it be? She had access to the house, she needed money desperately for that investment scheme, and I'd just turned her down. Daniel, the timeline matches perfectly. He leans against the wall, closing his eyes. God, I can't believe she'd do this. Yes, you can, I say gently but firmly. You've been telling me for months that her spending is out of control, that she doesn't respect boundaries. This is just the logical escalation. I need to talk to her. No, I say sharply. Not yet. First, we need to gather evidence. I'm going home to check my nightstand drawer to confirm the card is missing. The bank is going to investigate, and if Sienna did this, they'll have security footage from the stores where the charges were made. We need to be smart about this. Daniel nods slowly, though his expression is that of a man whose world is crumbling. What do you want me to do? Go home. Act normal. Don't confront her yet. Let's see what the bank investigation turns up first. If we're right about this, we need solid proof before we accuse her. After Daniel leaves, I return to Robert's room and tell him what's happened. His reaction is immediate and fierce, his good hand clenching into a fist, his face reddening with anger. Call police, he manages to say. Soon, I promise, but first I need to be absolutely certain. That evening, I finally leave the hospital and drive home. The house is dark when I arrive, the porch light I'd left on having burned out. I let myself in, turning on lights as I go, and head straight to the bedroom. My nightstand drawer is locked, just as I left it. I take my key from my purse and open it with trembling hands. Inside are passports, birth certificates, old love letters from Robert, and beneath all of that, a burgundy wallet where I keep the rarely used credit card. The wallet is there, but when I open it, the slot where the credit card should be is empty. I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at that empty slot, feeling a wave of betrayal wash over me so intense it's almost physical. Sienna came into my home, went through my private belongings, and stole from me while my husband lay in a hospital bed fighting to recover from a stroke. The callousness of it, the calculated cruelty, leaves me breathless. I take photos of the empty wallet, the open drawer, everything that might serve as evidence. Then I call the bank's fraud department and report that I've confirmed the card is missing. They assure me the investigation is ongoing and that they'll be in touch soon with updates. Sleep doesn't come that night. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind churning through scenarios and possibilities. What else has Sienna stolen? What other lies has she told? And how could my son, my intelligent, perceptive son, have been so blind to who she really is? The next morning I'm back at the hospital early, exhausted but determined. Robert can see it in my face immediately. Confirmed? He asks. Confirmed. The card is gone from my nightstand. He nods grimly. Tell Daniel. I send my son a text, asking him to come by when he can, and he arrives during his lunch break, looking haggard. We sit in the small family consultation room the hospital provides, and I show him the photos of the empty wallet. I confronted her last night, he says quietly. After you told me what happened, I couldn't wait. My heart sinks. Daniel. I know, but Mom, I couldn't sleep, couldn't think. I went home and asked her directly if she'd taken your credit card. And? She denied it. Got angry, actually, accused me of listening to your paranoid theories, said she's hurt that we'd even think she was capable of such a thing. He laughs bitterly. She put on quite a performance. Tears, indignation, the whole thing. But I didn't believe her. I've seen that act before. Did you tell her about the bank investigation? No. I just said I knew the truth and that she needed to come clean. She doubled down on her denial, grabbed her purse, and left. She's been staying at her friend Claudia's place since last night. We sit in heavy silence, the weight of broken trust pressing down on both of us. Finally, Daniel speaks again. There's something else. Something I haven't told you. He pulls out his phone, scrolling through his photo gallery until he finds what he's looking for. I found these on her laptop last week. She'd left it open while she was in the shower. He hands me the phone, and I find myself looking at screenshots of social media posts. Luxury resorts in the Bahamas, infinity pools overlooking turquoise water, champagne brunches with picture-perfect presentations. And in every photo, Sienna, smiling, radiant, living what appears to be an impossibly glamorous life. I don't understand, I say. When were these taken? That's the thing, Mom, they weren't. Look closer at the photos. I zoom in and finally see what he's pointing out. The images are clearly photoshopped. Sienna's figure is cut and pasted into luxury locations, the edges slightly blurred where the editing isn't quite perfect. In one photo, her shadow falls in the wrong direction. In another, the reflection in her sunglasses doesn't match the background. She's been faking her entire influencer lifestyle, Daniel explains, his voice hollow. The designer bags in her posts? Borrowed from friends or rented from some app? The fancy restaurants? She goes there, orders water, takes photos, and leaves. The exotic vacations? All Photoshop. I found an entire folder on her computer labeled Content with hundreds of these fake images. I hand back the phone, stunned. Why would she do this? Followers, sponsors. She convinced several small companies to send her free products in exchange for posts, and she sells them online for cash. It's all a scam, Mom. Our entire marriage has been built on lies. Oh, Daniel. I pull my son into a hug, feeling him tremble against me. I'm so sorry. We're interrupted by a knock on the door. A police officer stands in the hallway, a woman in her 40s with a no-nonsense expression. Mrs. Martha Henley? That's me. I'm Officer Reynolds. The bank filed a report about the fraudulent charges on your credit card, and they've provided us with security footage from one of the stores. I need you to come down to the station to identify the person in the video. My stomach clenches. When? As soon as possible. This afternoon, if you can manage it. I look at Daniel, and he nods. I'll stay with Dad. You go. The police station is a squat brick building downtown, its fluorescent-lit interior smelling faintly of coffee and industrial cleaner. Officer Reynolds leads me through a maze of desks to a small conference room, equipped with a computer and screen. Before we watch the footage, she says, settling into a chair across from me, I want to explain what we're looking at. First National Bank provided security video from 3 different locations where your stolen credit card was used. I'm going to show you each clip, and I need you to tell me if you recognize the person making the purchases. My mouth is dry, okay? She hits play on the first video. The timestamp shows 3 days ago, 2:47 p.m. The footage is from Saks Fifth Avenue, focused on the checkout counter. A blonde woman approaches, her face partially obscured by large sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat. She's carrying several shopping bags already and sets them down to present items to the cashier, what looks like a designer purse and matching wallet. The cashier rings up the items, and the woman pulls out a credit card. Even with the sunglasses and hat, I recognize the gesture, the tilt of her head, the way she taps her manicured nails on the counter while waiting. That's Sienna, I say, my voice barely a whisper. My daughter-in-law, Sienna Crawford. Officer Reynolds nods, making notes. Can you be absolutely certain? The face isn't fully visible. I'm certain. I recognize her jewelry, that bracelet on her left wrist. It's a Cartier piece my son bought her for their anniversary. And the way she stands, the mannerisms, that's her. The second video is from an upscale restaurant called Le Jardin. Sienna sits at a table with a woman I don't recognize, mid-20s, dark hair, equally polished. They're laughing, toasting with cocktails that probably cost $20 each. When the check comes, Sienna doesn't hesitate, sliding my credit card across the table to the waiter. The camera catches a clear shot of her face as she signs the receipt. No sunglasses or hat to hide behind this time. And this? Officer Reynolds asks. That's definitely her, no doubt whatsoever. The third video is from a spa called Serenity Now. Sienna and the same dark-haired woman are checking out at the front desk, their faces glowing from what were probably facials or some other treatment. The receptionist tallies up the bill. I can see the number on the screen, $687.50. Sienna pays with my card, laughing at something her companion says. Officer Reynolds pauses the video. The total across all three transactions, plus a few smaller charges at coffee shops and boutiques, comes to $4,847.32. Mrs. Henley, I need to ask you directly. Did you give Sienna Crawford permission to use this credit card? Absolutely not. I didn't even know it was missing until the bank called me. And she had access to your home? Yes, I gave her a key months ago for emergencies and never asked for it back. Officer Reynolds nods, her expression grave. Based on this evidence, we have grounds to charge Sienna Crawford with credit card fraud and theft. The amount exceeds $1,000, which makes it a felony in this state. Before we proceed, I need to ask, do you want to press charges? The question hangs in the air. I think about Daniel, about how this will affect him, about the family scandal that will inevitably follow. But I also think about Robert lying in that hospital bed, about the medical bills we're facing, about the decades of hard work and sacrifice it took to save that money Sienna so casually stole. Yes, I say firmly. I want to press charges, even though she's family, especially because she's family. She betrayed our trust when we were at our most vulnerable. That's not something I can overlook. Officer Reynolds gives me a look of respect. I understand. We'll issue a warrant for her arrest. Do you know where we can find her? I give them Claudia's address, which Daniel had texted me earlier, and my own contact information. Officer Reynolds explains that the arrest will likely happen within the next 48 hours, and that I'll need to provide a formal statement. As I'm leaving the police station, my phone rings. It's an unknown number again, but this time when I answer, it's not the bank. Mrs. Henley? This is Claudia Foster. I think we need to talk about Sienna. My breath catches. Claudia, the woman from the security footage, Sienna's supposed best friend. What about her? Can you meet me? There's a coffee shop on 3rd Street called The Daily Grind. I can be there in 30 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agree. Something in Claudia's voice sounds urgent, almost afraid. I text Daniel to let him know where I'm going, then drive to the coffee shop. The Daily Grind is a hipster establishment with exposed brick and mismatched furniture. Claudia is already there when I arrive, sitting in a back corner booth. Up close, she's younger than she appeared in the videos, maybe 26, with the kind of effortless beauty that comes from expensive maintenance. Mrs. Henley, thank you for meeting me, she says, as I slide into the booth. Continue. Voiture takes, across from her. I ordered you a coffee. I hope that's okay. What is this about, Claudia? She takes a deep breath, her hands wrapped around her own coffee cup, as if drawing warmth from it. I need to tell you something about Sienna, but I need you to understand that I didn't know the full extent of what she was doing until yesterday. Go on. Sienna and I met at a networking event 2 years ago. We both were trying to build our brands as influencers, and we clicked. Or at least I thought we did. She seemed savvy, ambitious, and she was married to a successful lawyer. I admired her. Claudia pauses, her expression troubled. About 6 months ago, she started asking me to help her create content. Photoshop jobs mostly, putting her into exotic locations, making it look like she had this amazing life. She said it was just to boost her follower count, that everyone in the influencer world does it. Did you do it? Some of it, yes. I'm not proud of that now. But Mrs. Henley, I swear I had no idea she was stealing from you. When she invited me out shopping and to that spa day, she said Daniel had given her a credit card to use, that it was a gift for dealing with the stress of your husband's illness. I never would have participated if I'd known the truth. I study her face, trying to determine if she's lying. She seems genuine, but Sienna seemed genuine too once upon a time. Why are you telling me this now? Because yesterday, Sienna called me in a panic. She told me Daniel's mother had accused her of theft and that the police might be involved. She asked me to lie for her, to say that I was with her when those charges were made, that I could provide an alibi. When I refused, Claudia trails off, her eyes filling with tears. She threatened me. Said she'd tell everyone I was the one who stole the card, that she'd make sure I went down with her. Did she threaten you physically? Not physically, but she said she had dirt on me, things she could leak that would ruin my reputation. I don't even know what she's talking about. I haven't done anything worse than those Photoshop jobs. But Mrs. Henley, I'm scared. Sienna isn't who I thought she was. There's something really wrong with her. I sit back, processing this information. If Claudia is telling the truth, and my instinct says she is, then Sienna is even more calculating and dangerous than I realized. She's not just a thief. She's someone who will destroy anyone who gets in her way. Claudia, would you be willing to give a statement to the police? To tell them exactly what you told me? She nods. Yes, that's why I called you. I can't be part of this anymore. I want to do the right thing. We exchange contact information, and I promise to have Officer Reynolds reach out to her. As I watch Claudia leave the coffee shop, her shoulders hunched with worry, I feel a wave of sadness. Sienna's web of lies has ensnared so many people, leaving destruction in her wake. My phone buzzes with a text from Daniel. They arrested her. Mom, they arrested Sienna. My heart pounds as I call him immediately. Where are you? At the police station. They picked her up at Claudia's place about an hour ago. I came down as soon as I heard. His voice is strained. Mom, she was screaming at me, saying I betrayed her, that I should have protected her. She still won't admit what she did. Are you okay? I don't know. I honestly don't know how I'm supposed to feel right now. Come to the hospital. We'll figure this out together. When I return to Robert's room, I find Daniel already there, sitting beside his father's bed with his head in his hands. Robert is awake, and when he sees me, he reaches out his good hand. I take it, drawing strength from his grip. She's been arrested, I tell Robert. The police have video evidence. It's over. Not yet, Daniel says quietly. Her lawyer called me. They're arguing that it's a family matter, that the charges should be dropped. He's saying that as her husband, I should have known about the card, that there's implied consent. I feel a flash of anger. That's ridiculous. There was no consent, implied or otherwise, and you're not the victim here. I am. I know. But Mom, if this goes to trial, the publicity, the embarrassment, my firm already got wind of it. They're concerned about how this reflects on me. Daniel, look at me. I wait until he meets my eyes. You are not responsible for your wife's actions. You did nothing wrong. Don't let her lawyer manipulate you into feeling guilty. Your mother's right, Robert says, his words coming slowly but clearly. She chose this, not you. We sit together in that hospital room as the afternoon light fades, a small family unit battered but not broken. The road ahead will be difficult. Legal proceedings, divorce, the aftermath of betrayal. But in this moment, we have each other, and that will have to be enough. My phone buzzes again. It's Officer Reynolds. Mrs. Henley, Sienna Crawford has been charged with credit card fraud and released on bail pending trial. I wanted you to be aware in case she attempts to contact you. I show the text to Daniel, and he sighs heavily. She'll call me. She always does when she's in trouble. You don't have to answer. I know, but part of me wants to hear what she could possibly say to justify this. Don't do it tonight, I advise. Give yourself time to process everything first. As if on cue, Daniel's phone rings. We all stare at it, Sienna's name flashing on the screen. Daniel declines the call, then turns off his phone completely. Tomorrow, he says. I'll deal with it all tomorrow. But tomorrow comes with its own revelations, ones that will shake our family to its core and reveal that Sienna's theft was only the beginning of her deceptions.